Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the Nest Podcast, episode 45, the Pedro Martinez episode, presented by Sportzilla. I'm your host, Brandon. Joining me as always is my co host, Zach. Zach, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much. It's another Thursday night. We're really bad at sticking to our Friday night schedule, but once again, something came up this weekend and we had to push it back to Thursday because life happens. But we've always made time for the podcast, which is pretty awesome.
That we have.
45 straight weeks now that we've had at least one weekly episode. We had a couple weeks where there were two sprinkled in there.
Uh-huh.
And we're rapidly approaching the 1 year mark, which is a pretty significant milestone, I think.
Yeah, I would say so, especially if you can go that whole year uninterrupted.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, pretty special. I know a lot of podcasts that I listen to and stuff like that, they've skipped around. They'll do like in seasons, which is an interesting way to do a podcast. You do so like 4 months on, and then you take a break for 3 or 4 months, and then you come back with more. But those podcasts are usually more they're planned episode, and they come off as very
Orchestrated.
and very, and they're usually delivered really well too, though. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. But
Are you a fan of history?
I am, yeah.
Have you ever heard of Hardcore History podcast?
No, I haven't.
I highly recommend it. It's just this guy, Dan Carlin. I don't think he's like a professor or anything. I think he's just a fan of history. He goes so far in depth. Like he does like 5-hour podcasts about the Mongols or whatever, World War II and craziness. It's really good. And that's one of those where obviously it's very well planned out, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I know my wife would probably be really interested in that. We've been watching Chernobyl recently. We're gonna put on the episode this coming Monday with our resident nuclear expert Garth and Adam from the Bearded Ballesta. Some of our longtime listeners will remember him as well. They're going to come on. We're going to talk about the HBO show Chernobyl, which has a history element to it in and of itself.
Right.
But since we've been watching, my wife has gotten really intrigued with communist Russia, if you will, and their history.
Yeah. That's they have a very interesting history too. I don't. What were they before Lenin took over and became a socialist country?
Beats me.
Yeah, that's where the history stops for me.
I really couldn't tell you. I have no clue. I'm not even going to pretend to know.
But that stuff is fun. That was always one of my favorite subjects in school. One that I could actually grasp and do good at.
I mean, history was one that I liked, but I never really remembered too much of the European history. I think we only covered that like very, very like sparsely or whatever in school. It sucks. American education's pretty terrible.
Oh, it's god awful.
Anyway, I guess we would be hard pressed to come on here and not give a congratulations to the St. Louis Blues for their thrilling defeat in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, quite the series. It's very strange to think that throughout the whole playoffs, and these numbers might be a little skewed, but the Blues were 9-3. I guess make that as of last night 10-3 on the road, but something like 6-7 at home.
Yeah, that's interesting. Usually that you think of the home field advantage or home ice advantage in this case, but that wasn't the truth for them. They're the road warriors.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. If you watched any of Game 6, that was like god awful hockey on the Blues part.
Oh yeah, it was a murder from the Boston perspective. Like what was it, 5-1 final?
7-2 was the final, I believe, or 7-1, something like that. But
yeah, I knew it was a blowout, and
it was
that's
insane.
Rare in hockey.
Yeah, it was insane. I don't know what that is. Maybe the fuel, their fuel is the away teams fans or I guess the home team when they're in Boston, but the opposing team's fans cheering against them, and they say, you know what, we're going to show you. I don't know.
Yeah, playing with that chip on their shoulder or something maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
regardless, congratulations to their team. I said it kind of monotoned on purpose because I wanted to be like, congratulations, assholes. But no, it's a huge accomplishment in those dudes' lives. And I saw something that kind of warmed my heart a little bit. They brought like an 11-year-old girl
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge fan, that she's got some kind of rare cancer illness.
Yep.
They brought her up to Boston and brought her out on the ice, and she got to kiss the cup and all that stuff. So
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool. I had to tip my cap to them. So they,
Yeah,
they
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was gonna say they took a title away from Boston, but at least they had a little bit of class and did something nice for someone.
Yeah. Yeah. She I don't remember which series it was. I don't know if it was this finals or the series before, but the team found out that she was a huge fan and got her a ticket to the game, and she lost it, and her mom recorded it and put it out and everything, and she kind of gained some notoriety, at least locally and probably within the hockey community as well. But yeah, she got to go to a bunch of games during the final series, and I shared a video on Sportszilla of her kissing the cup, which was really cool.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's why I even knew to even mention it, was I saw your post in Sportszilla about that. It's cool. I like whenever they do stuff like that for fans that are disabled, less, not, they won't ever be able to realize their dreams of playing that sport,
Mm-hmm.
but they love it passionately, and the players recognize that, and that's cool. It reminds me of my dad's best friend for many, many years before he finally died. He was in a wheelchair. He was paralyzed from the neck down, and he always was talking to and about sports. His room in his house was just nothing but autographed memorabilia and it's not stuff that he like bought online or anything like that, but it was stuff that he had hand signed at the game. Like it didn't have the certificate of authentication and blah blah blah. Like,
but somebody signed it.
Somebody signed it in his presence, and it was just all over his room, and it was badass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But hey, sports fans, listen up. We've got a great deal for you. Are you looking to add to your personal collection, get that last minute Father's Day gift for your dad, or decorate your man cave? If you've nodded yes or thought yes to any of those questions, then you've got to go check out Wolfpack Razz and Breaks. Wolfpack has the best deals on the best memorabilia from the NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL. Wolfpack is veteran owned and operated, and is the place that we go to get our certified, authentic, and replica hand-signed gear by the players that we know and love. Join the Wolfpack Razz group on Facebook, and you'll get $5 off your first bid by commenting Nest 5 when you secure your spot. Are you ready to run with the pack? Oh! Anyway, David Ortiz got shot in the Dominican Republic this week.
That was insane when I saw that.
I thought it was one of those The Onion headlines or something like that. Whenever it first, like, hey, David Ortiz shot. Oh, okay. What's he taking shots at a bar? Maybe is that what you're fucking talking about?
Yeah.
No, this dude got shot.
Yep, and probably almost died.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never really know how close he was to dying. They're crediting a lot of his survival to the quick thinking and quick acting of the people that were with him at the time to get him, away from that scene into emergency facilities as quick as possible. And the doctors down there in the Dominican Republic that performed the emergency operations that saved his life, he had his gallbladder removed, part of his intestine, some kind of liver damage. Like, he had a lot of internal shit that was wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure. I would assume he took a bullet at a really close range and destroyed his.
Oh, you didn't see the video then?
No, I haven't.
Oh, there's a video of it. It's kind of like a grainy black and white video, but you can see it pretty clearly. It's probably I would say about 10 to 12 foot away. And he walks in from behind, points, shoots, and you see David kind of like sit upright and then start to slunch over. And I guess the thing that was most fortunate is where he got hit, the bullet penetrated straight through his body
Oh
and
wow.
went out of his back and through his belly. And it actually the bullet went into the leg of the guy that was sitting in front of him.
That's insane.
I mean, and yeah, it is. That's so lucky that it did that. You know how ballistics work, that if they bounce off of, if they hit a bone or something like that, it's going to change its course of trajectory and go somewhere else.
Yeah,
So
start tearing other shit up.
exactly. If it would have hit a rib or, one of those spinal bones or whatever, and just bounced around on the inside of his body, it could have ripped a lot of shit apart. So he got lucky that, he didn't get a punctured lung. He didn't get any of that shit. So
Yeah. And I don't know how many details came out immediately, but you and I both were like, this wasn't an attempted robbery. This was for sure some sort of assassination attempt. And that apparently has come out to be the case.
right. It appears that it was a murder for hire. I know they've now arrested, I think, 6 or 7 suspects that are connected with this. They've got them all dead to rights on recordings, security recordings and stuff like that, all convening basically right outside of the place where they shot him, and then hopping on the motorcycle and then riding up to the door, jumping off, shooting, and trying to get away. They got the driver of the motorcycle almost immediately because he crashed or whatever, and they beat the fuck out of him. So he got taken out, and then they caught the alleged shooter like 2 days later,
Jesus.
and they found the murder weapon or the attempted murder weapon because he had handed it off to some other guy that handed it off to some other guy that buried it in a garden or some shit. And then like once the cops came around, they all started cracking and telling like what it was. And it comes out that it's a murder for hire, and it's for the equivalent of about $8,000.
God damn. That's how you know the Dominican Republic is fucked up.
Well, I mean, poor people, you would go and kill a beloved icon for $8,000.
Yeah.
But that would probably like support their family for a good amount of time or whatever. I don't know what they would spend it on.
Right.
But yeah,
I don't know if this was true or not, but apparently I saw something that was saying that like he had some sort of affair with some person's wife.
that's one of the rumors going around. The mistress, I saw that she spoke and said that that's not true at all. It's just a rumor. But I mean,
who knows,
is
right?
she just covering her own ass? I mean, whatever. But as far as I know, that's just a rumor. I don't want to spread that misinformation and then people think that that's true, because we
Right.
have some Red Sox fans that listen to our podcast, and I don't want to tarnish their image of Big Papi.
Well, I mean,
if it's untrue.
Yeah. Whatever happens, we'll find out. But
Yeah,
that is,
if it's absolutely true that he was down there fucking some whore and it's some drug kingpin's wife or whatever, then you know what? He was playing with fire, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah, pretty wild. And the Red Sox sent their team plane down there to pick him up, and he received a second surgery in Boston.
Yeah, you can't buy that kind of insurance.
No, man, that's crazy.
That's some insurance that we all wish we had. Like, hey, if I'm on, and if I'm in another country and get shot, are you going to take care of me like that?
Doubtful.
Yeah, USAA says fuck off.
Yes, sir.
I don't even know if USAA does health insurance. I don't think they do.
No, I think they're a bank and they do car insurance.
Yeah, I know they do car insurance because that's who I have my insurance through. But
nice.
Anyway, but pair the Big Papi incident with him being shot and then the subsequent surgeries and all that shit with the Red Sox on a terrible losing skid recently. It feels like it's the Bobby Valentine era Red Sox again. It's just bad news after bad news.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks. And you said the Cardinals haven't really been doing shit lately
no,
either, huh?
I believe they're right at 500.
Same with the Red Sox, right around 500.
They just finished up a series with the Marlins. I believe it's the Marlins or the Rays. No, it was Marlins. Won the series, lost the last game. But nothing good is happening. That's for sure. Molina is back off the IL, and now Wainwright has gone onto the IL. I don't remember what for, but it's not good. Starting pitching is just a joke right now. There's nothing really to be said about it.
Yeah. It happens. We're in the dog days of summer, getting to the dog days of summer at least, and it's rough. You
Yeah.
know, injuries catch up to you, and that's whenever you find out, you know, if your team's going to be able to complete the marathon or if they're just going to sputter out. And unfortunately for both of our teams, it looks like they're sputtering right now. They might get a spark after the All-Star break and make a little run for September, but I mean, as we saw last year, even if you make a run in September, it doesn't mean you're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that is a fact. It also doesn't look like many Cardinals players, except for Molina, are going to be making a run for the All-Star game, which is kind of upsetting, but what can you do?
Yeah, the Red Sox have a few candidates right now. JD Martinez is leading all designated hitters. Xander should be up there. I think he's probably leading or in second for shortstop. I can't imagine too many people that are ahead of him.
Right.
I'd say Devers is up there, and Chris Sale is probably up there just because he's up there in the league lead in strikeouts. We discussed that the last episode before that, something like that.
Yeah, he can throw a baseball, that's for sure.
If only they could score some goddamn runs when he was pitching.
You probably wouldn't have much to complain about.
He had another game the other day. He went 7 innings, had 10 strikeouts, and left the game with a 3-2 lead, and then ended up the Red Sox lost that game. He doesn't get credit for the loss. The bullpen gets the loss, but it's still a game that we should have fucking won.
Yeah.
Nah, whatever. It sucks, but what can you do? Did you see that Vanderbilt kid?
Yes, that was quite the feat he achieved.
What was it, like 19 strikeouts and a complete game shutout? It was the first ever in Supermax regional, whatever it is.
Yeah, semifinals or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Impressive shit. I wrote his name down. Kumar Rocker.
Nice.
It's a cool name, good last name for a pitcher to come in. Rocker is going to rock you.
Yeah, he'll for sure be a number one pick, or at least first round for sure whenever his time is up.
I would say so. I'd say he'll definitely be on the draft stage pretty soon to sign a deal with the Marlins or the Reds or
one of those shitty teams.
One of those shitty teams that everybody writes off every year.
It's interesting that, and I think we've mentioned it before, it's interesting that Vanderbilt has such a elite baseball team. That's not a very big sport in college.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. There are some colleges that have a pedigree, if you will, of having good quality starting pitchers or good quality outfielders or infielders or whatever. Vanderbilt is one of those. They've turned out several big league pitchers. I know David Price is from Vanderbilt, and this Kumar kid seems to be headed in that direction as well. Another SEC school that's turned out a lot of good talent is the University of South Carolina. I know they've mentioned 3 or 4 guys as I've been watching the game that they always relate to being a teammate of Jackie Bradley Jr., who's obviously from South Carolina Gamecocks. And they're always like, oh, he was a college teammate of Jackie Bradley, blah, blah, blah. So that was pretty cool to see, you know, where these guys come from, because you're right. College baseball isn't that popular. It's not known as well as I guess Major League Baseball is, but these guys go somewhere and they have to play somewhere, you know, is what it is. Our YouTube listeners can see that I'm actually wearing a Tennessee baseball shirt right now. So that's kind of an anomaly to be able to have a a college baseball shirt on whenever we start talking about it. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those sports that, it never makes the big TV for college sports. It's always basketball and football. So it's interesting that a school like that can have a good team, and people know Vanderbilt for their baseball.
Yeah, well, I mean, they play in the SEC for football, and they tend to get overshadowed by a lot of those powerhouses in football.
Yeah, Texas is also a pretty good school for baseball, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as in terms of states that generate the best baseball players in general, Florida, Texas, and California are always at the tops of those lists, mainly because you can play outside year round in those states, But
yeah, that makes sense.
But we mentioned football briefly. I was gonna say it earlier in the episode when we were talking about how both of our baseball teams were around 500 right now, and how it was into the long stretch of summer where it's like, oh shit, the NBA playoffs will be over, either tonight or by the end of the weekend. Hockey just ended. All that we have right now is baseball, and I guess the Women's World Cup is heating up too, but
right.
After that, we really have nothing but baseball, and then we can look forward to football. And football is a huge retreat if your baseball team is having a shitty season, because then you can really get focused on like your fantasy draft coming up. You can get focused on like watching your college players from your college team develop. You can, so you can really nerd out and get into that sport too. While your baseball team is just flopping around in the mud, not doing shit.
Yep. Shit happens.
Yeah, it does. I'm still going to follow the Red Sox all the way through like I always do, but it does, man. I know for casual fans especially, it gets really hard to stay pumped for an entire baseball season when they're not winning.
Yeah, the Cards were losing the other night or whatever, and so I flipped it to the Indians Reds game, and Luis Castillo was pitching against Trevor Bauer, so that was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, Bauer's been lights out.
Yeah, Bauer went like 8 innings, gave up I think maybe 1 run. So yeah, that was really cool to watch.
That's one thing I love about baseball. It's even if it's two teams that next to nothing about, they can still put on a hell of a show. And it's like, damn, that kid's good. Or holy shit, he killed that. It's like, I don't know who you are. I don't watch you on a daily basis, but they can impress.
Yeah.
They're all good at what they do.
Yeah. Sometimes it's for me, I hardly ever watch anything other than the Cardinals, maybe a Red Sox game every now and then. But I think I might start doing that a little bit more. It's kind of fun to see other teams, and then you get to know other players and stuff like that. Because I've been to Indians game, years ago, and I kind of followed them. I kind of knew a few players, of course, the big ones. But it's fun to watch other teams and see how other players do shit.
Right. Like I've told you before that I love watching the Rockies. I like watching the Brewers play too. I love watching Travis Shaw and Eric Thames. Those guys up there, really fucking talented. Josh Hader coming in with his long hair like mine, and
that's right,
throwing fucking fire. I love watching them. I don't get to see them a lot because most nights I'm tuned into Red Sox, but if I just come home and the boys aren't on to play video games and shit like that, it's like I'll throw on the Padres versus the fucking D-backs.
Yep.
Who knows? You might see something special. People that were tuned in to watch a recent game between the Dodgers and the Giants got to see a pretty awesome altercation between Max Muncy and Madison Bumgarner.
That was so funny.
You saw that shit? I think
did.
I posted it on Sportszilla.
Yeah.
For people that don't know what we're talking about, Max Muncy crushed a home run off of Madison Bumgarner that went over the wall into the McCovey Cove, which is like a little inlet for the ocean. So it went over the wall into the water, made a splash landing. And I guess he kind of admired it whenever he hit it, as all of us would if we hit a ball that fucking far. That's what you do. Madison Bumgarner had a problem with that. He said, "Don't fucking look at it, run." So Max says, instantly comes back with the response of the century, and he says, "If you don't want me to look at it, get it out of the water," and just trotted off.
Yep. Yeah. Mad Bum was not happy with that and had some words. And Max was like, "Bitch, that ball's in the fucking water."
Yeah, you can't talk shit whenever I just took you deep. Get the
No.
fuck out of here.
No, Mad Bum was just pissed off because he gave up a fucking blast like that, and it was just crushed. It's funny to see balls go into the water because there's always people in kayaks that go out and get the balls.
There are only 2 or 3 stadiums where you can hit a ball to the water. I know obviously there in San Francisco. I want to say it's PNC where the Pirates play that you can hit the ball into the Allegheny River.
Oh wow.
I think that's a thing. And that's the only 2 that I can think of.
Is there not one in Florida?
No. They're both well, Miami has a retractable roof and Tampa Bay is a dome.
Gotcha.
So, I can't think of anywhere else that you can hit a ball into the water. So,
Yeah.
that's pretty unique, but it's a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, for sure. Not many people can say that they've hit a ball into the water in a major league park.
Barry Bonds hit several of them into the water there.
Yes, he did.
One of my characters on MLB The Show, I only would accept a free agent deal from the Giants because he was a lefty and I wanted to go and hit home runs into the water.
That's awesome.
Like that's what I wanted to do on my created character. So I wouldn't accept a deal until the Giants came knocking.
Did you end up doing it?
Yeah, I hit a ton of them into the water.
That's funny.
That was my Johnny Coyote character.
Oh, okay, nice. Your first one.
Yeah, I played the shit out of that guy for a while. Got really good at the game playing with him.
Mm-hmm. Great game.
Yeah, absolutely. I miss it. I should go back and play it every now and then. I'll play it for like a week or 2, and then it's like, okay, I'll switch to something else for a while. But I miss it, and I go back and I'll play like a week of pitching and a week of hitting. And it's like, okay, I got my skills back a little bit.
Yep.
Did you ever have anybody that you simulated through and retired and see if they made the Hall of Fame or anything?
I haven't retired anybody yet. The farthest guy I have is a pitcher of mine. Everybody else is still like in the minors.
Oh yeah, it's tough to get them out of the minors, but it's almost like once you get them out of the minors, it's like, all right, time to start the next one. Because that's the fun part of the game to me is that grind through the minors.
Yep. I have a shortstop, and I'm really excited because he got drafted by Tampa, which means that his AAA team is Bull Durham.
Oh, okay. So he's Bull Durham, and let's see, where else do they go? What's the middle one?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't
Biscuits?
Okay. Is it the Biscuits? Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought
Montgomery Biscuits.
I thought it was somewhere else. I know the Marlins takes you to be on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Yep.
Which is pretty hilarious because they play, 30 miles from my house. So it's kind of cool to see the stadium. That's
there are tons of minor league teams that have the most ridiculous names.
Oh boy, tell me about it. Freaking, there's the Hartford Yard Goats. That's a fucking fun name. There are a lot of them. You're right. A lot of them are terrible. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp is a pretty bad name,
but it's hilarious.
Tim Tebow played on one team that was pretty bad. I can't remember it. Montgomery something or another.
Bay Sox?
No, he wasn't on the Bay Sox. I can't remember. Monarchs, maybe? Was he a butterfly? Is that what it was that I thought was funny? I can't remember. He was on some team and I made fun of the name. That's all I remember.
He obviously isn't going to make a good career of baseball. But do you think if Vince McMahon comes calling, he'll sign up for the XFL?
I think that's a good possibility, especially now that he's kind of not been doing so hot in AAA. They haven't demoted him, which says something at least, but I mean, he's just kind of hanging on by the skin of his teeth, I would say, at AAA. I don't know what his current stats are, but last time I saw, it was not good.
Yeah, and I think any way you look at it, this is just a PR stunt for the Mets. Even if they do bring him up to the majors, it's just going to be like, hey, come watch Tim Tebow play baseball, and he'll strike out every time or something.
Yeah, I mean, we called that back last year whenever he first started doing well in AA, and we were like, yeah, if he ever gets called up, it'll be just to sell tickets. It'll be to put butts in seats there at Shea Stadium.
And that's why I think if the XFL does come knocking and they say, hey, starting quarterback on such and such team and you get this much money, he's 100% going to take that.
Yeah, right now he's batting 158 in the minor leagues.
Good Lord.
Not very good. Not going to impress too many big league squads if you can't even hit above the Mendoza line. So let's see if he's hit for any kind of power. He's got 1 home run this year and 158 at bats.
Ouch.
And only 14 RBIs. Yeah, he's not had a good season. So I don't foresee him getting a call up. I don't really foresee him getting too many more chances with contract extensions or anything like that. He'll be one of those guys that washes out, never really makes the majors. You only know about him because he was famous as a college football quarterback. So to that point, yes, I think he'll end up in the XFL.
Yeah. Same with old Johnny Football.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be in the XFL, even though it's kind of funny that Vince at first was like, if you've ever had any kind of issues, we're not going to have you on here because we're a wholesome family league. And then now as it's getting closer, it's like people forget all about that. And they're like, I just want to see the best football players.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Johnny Football, for what it is, he's better than any of the scrub quarterbacks that would be playing. So
I 100% agree. And I think they need to fill their rosters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I wish fucking Colin Kaepernick would get a job.
He could tear that league up.
I still think he could tear up divisions in the NFL.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm not going to say entire leagues or like whatever. I mean, there would still be team defenses that I think would be able to eat up Colin Kaepernick, but I think he had the athleticism to be able to play NFL football.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if Ryan Tannehill has a job.
Blake Bortles, he's still in the league. Fuck that, man. Like, there's no reason that Kaepernick shouldn't have been able to come back and play, and I hope he does get a chance to play in the XFL.
Yeah, I doubt he takes anything, though. I think he's riding this gravy train of whatever he's created for himself.
Yeah, and well, Nike's paying him now, so he doesn't need to do anything else.
Right.
But anyway, we watched UFC 238. What was it, last weekend that we watched that?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was, huh? Wow. Time flies, man.
It really does. We're almost out of fucking year with this podcast.
I know, it's crazy. Anyway, we watched that UFC the other night. Pretty decent card overall. The main fight that I know you and I wanted to see was the Cowboy and Tony Ferguson fight, which didn't disappoint for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it was a doctor stoppage, but it was clear to see why. Pun intended.
I didn't even get that until you said something.
Yeah, I know. You didn't crack a smile, so I was like, I better explain this one.
That's how good it was.
But yeah, no, the way that his eyes like got swollen up after he blew his nose, there was no way that he should have been allowed to go out there and continue a fight.
Yeah, it looked so fucking bad. For those who haven't seen the fight, I would say that the first round was relatively evenly matched, giving the edge to Cowboy a little bit. And then as soon as Tony got his footing, the second round was 100% Tony's fight there.
Oh yeah,
And
Tony beat him up in the second
yeah,
round.
he got very, very much so beat up, and his face was swollen, but as soon as he blew his nose, yeah, his eye just blew up like a balloon.
Which, for those of you listening that don't know, if you ever are in a situation where you think you have a broken nose, don't blow your nose. That air will have to go somewhere. And usually there's a little crack in the orbital socket whenever you break your nose, and that air will go through that crack and blow up whatever side of the face that crack is on.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
exactly what happened to Cowboy. It blew up that side of his face and he couldn't see. Fight's over.
Yeah, it was funny to hear him talk to Joe Rogan and after, and he was like, "I was trying to tell him to just push the air down."
Yeah, he pushed the air back through the nose. I'll be all right.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I guess it was probably one of those heat of the moment things he didn't realize, and then once it happened, he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, and I hate it for Tony because the dude can't buy a clean victory.
Fucking A.
Like and I think I know what it is. It's because he fucking mauls people to death, and the doctors have to stop in and stop his fights, or step in and stop his fights.
If you think about it, that's almost more brutal than a knockout.
That is more brutal than a knockout. Like, you're just punishing this guy to the point that other people are like, yeah, we don't even want to see any more of this. Like, this is too much.
Yeah. I mean, remember how bloodied what's his name was? Anthony Pettis.
Oh yeah, I was like, I've seen a lot of bloody fights, Zach.
That fight was just insane, man. So
oh yeah, he was
Tony,
fighting what's his name, right?
yeah, that guy, the dude that got bloody during a fight.
Yeah, there have been some wars in UFC history that they end up so bloody, and I'm thinking of Robbie Lawler when he had his lip split. That was brutal.
That was probably one of the most famous ones, just because of how graphic it was.
Mm,
Yeah, his lip was literally—it's like someone cut it with scissors.
Yeah, yeah, it was just flapping off. It was weird. It was gross. Another bloody fight was Forrest Griffin, and I think it was Stephan Bonner.
Can't recall that.
That's the original Ultimate Fighter Championship, and they had an epic war. It was a bloodbath.
Nice.
It was cool. Great fight. It was a good way to hook a new audience on the sport, because that was right when the UFC boom was in full like stride. Tito Ortiz and Matt Hughes and Frank Shamrock and all those guys were GSP were kind of at the forefront. And then these guys were the up and coming next generation of fighters that everybody was excited about. And it was an epic war, a bloodbath, and it ushered in the new blood into mixed martial arts.
Yeah. The Ultimate Fighter was a huge success for the UFC. Nowadays it's ran its course and people don't care.
They've ran it into the ground and made it into real world with fighting.
Yeah. But I mean it produced a shit ton of celebrity superstar fighters.
And great fights along the way that didn't count on their records.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool to see that, they had those little exhibition fights that were just in there in the gym or whatever. And it didn't count on anybody's record. It was just to see who moved on in the little in-house competition to get a real fight in. And it's like, wow, okay, these guys are no shit fighting every day to get a fight.
Yeah.
They were hungry.
One of the most notorious scenes from The Ultimate Fighter that just I remember and it sticks in my head to this day is watching Rampage rip that door off of its hinges with his bare fucking hands.
That guy, I do my little howl for the Wolfpack ad read, but that guy, he barked at the moon, dude. Every fight that he won, he would let out a huge super howl. Do you remember that?
Yeah. He's fucking nuts. He's probably one of the most intimidating people in the UFC's history, I would say.
I went and watched a buddy of mine fight. It's been years ago now. but he fought in a little armory in Harlan, Kentucky. It's as redneck as it sounds, folks. Harlan, Kentucky. And actually, if you've ever seen the show Justified with Timothy Oliphant, it's set in Harlan, Kentucky. Fun fact. But I went to a fight there, and there's this we'll call it what it is, a fat guy that he was fighting that night, and he came out with the big chains around his neck like Rampage did. And we were making fun of him from the first time that we saw him because he's as white as this sheet of paper, and he's coming out with this big thick ass chain like Rampage does, and he was trying to like look all badass and tough and stuff, and he ended up like bull rushing as soon as the bell rang, and he was swinging wildly, and he landed a few shots. He got caught a few times, but he ended up somehow landing a takedown. Basically, he fell on top of the guy that he was fighting and was laying on top of him and started tapping out. And his corner was like, "What are you doing? You were winning. You were on top." He goes, "I couldn't fucking breathe."
That's great. That's one of those dudes where he gets drunk and starts punching stuff, and his buddies are like, "Hey man, you could be an MMA fighter," and he believes him, and then goes and gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever fought again. That was the only time I ever saw that guy in my entire life, but I forget what we called him, but it had something to do with Rampage. It was a parody of his name somehow. I forget what it was though.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Tony thing.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Now it's all good. Now that he has essentially beaten the guy that everyone thought deserved a title shot, do you think Tony gets the next fight for the winner of Khabib and Poirier?
I think he's definitely deserving of a title shot. Obviously, they're going to unify the titles at the next fight, or the Khabib Poirier fight that you just referenced, and then they would go on from there. Khabib's corner says that they want to unify the belts and then go fight GSP. From the last that I've heard from them, that's what they want to do, which we've talked about it before is kind of, I could see GSP doing that and wanting to secure that in his legacy. I don't see the UFC wanting him to do that, to be another like, "Oh, I beat your champ, I'm going to retire again" kind of thing.
Yep.
And I don't see GSP sticking around to defend it.
No.
I could see GSP wiping the floor with Conor to make a few $1 million real quick, but other than that, and if GSP wants to come back and fight Conor, then I have no problem seeing him fight Khabib after that, because then that would give Tony time to get a shot in as well. I don't know. I do think Tony deserves the next shot.
I'm thinking that Tony gets the winner of Khabib and Poirier.
He should. That's what he should get. I could see the UFC dicking him over and making him fight Conor first, though.
I would watch it. I'd watch the living shit out of that fight, because that'd be another Conor loss.
Yeah. And you would see Tony pick him apart on his feet. And that's something that McGregor's always prided himself on, is his stand-up work, his boxing and stuff like that. And I think Tony, with that reach, would be able just to pepper him all night long. And he's got stiff jabs. That's what was eating Donald up, was those jabs right to the fucking nose.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he started teeing off on him in that second round, but it was those jabs that broke the nose initially.
Yeah, he's so fucking impressive. Stand up on the ground. I hope nothing goes wrong, and I'm sure I'm jinxing it, but I hope nothing goes wrong. I hope he gets a shot, and it's probably going to be against Khabib if I had to bet money on it. And man, I hope to God that fight actually comes to fruition, because that's been years in the making and we've never been able to get there.
Yeah, I would be pretty stoked about it too. What else was on that card that was of note? Do you remember anything?
Yes.
Jessica, I got head kicked. Yeah.
The head kick knockout by Valentina Shevchenko. That
Yeah.
was like a video game move.
Yeah, it really was. It looked like you were playing UFC 3 and you clicked in the right button combination to land a deadly head kick,
It
walk
was
off head
deadly.
kick.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was fucking
Oh,
deadly.
she just
She,
dropped her like she stiff as a board on the ground. It
yeah,
was wild.
yep, hit the old off switch on her, man. It was nuts.
And of course, the next pay-per-view coming up is 239. That's the John Jones card.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that'll be fun.
that's gonna be a fun one. Do you have that fight card handy by chance?
Sadly, I don't. I don't.
Man,
I
we
know,
need a
right?
Jamie.
I don't think there's much else on it. Otherwise, I feel like we'd know about it.
I feel like somebody else was on that card. Is Amanda Nunes? Yeah, Amanda Nunes and Holly Holm is on that card.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
And
that's the other.
Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's some good fights on here. It was the one that Francis Ngannou and DeSantos got canceled.
That's right. Yeah, one of them got hurt, I would assume.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, those are good enough to make a pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see Ben Askren come back and fight again. You know, we discussed his fight with Robbie Lawler quite a bit on the show, and call it what it was or however you feel about it. It wasn't the ending that we wanted in that fight. We left with a little controversy, so it'd be cool to see Ben Askren go in there and actually get a good clean fight, win or lose, under his belt in the UFC.
Yeah. Well, one thing is for sure, UFC fans know who he is now if they didn't before, which is good for him.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean they're throwing him in there with a guy that has 33 victories, so not a slouch, not somebody that's to be taken lightly. He's fought a lot of times, so it'll be interesting. It'll be cool to see if Askren's up to that level of competition, because obviously this guy's fought a who's who in the sport.
And of course, the big 4th of July card is right around the corner.
Well, that's what this would be. This
is
comes
that?
on? Yeah, it's July 6th.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so this is their big summer card, and then champ Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm.
Yeah,
and she's gonna stamp her ticket to the
promised land,
first in line of the women's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Especially if she starts as Holly, it's over for everyone else.
Yeah, dude, she's wallows in love with her.
Well, she's a lesbian, so move on, buddy.
It doesn't stop him. He doesn't care. He can still love her. She might not love him back, but he'll still love her.
Yeah, she's something else. The women's division as a whole, regardless of weight class, is yet to see someone of her stature.
Yeah, and it's crazy that everyone thought that about Ronda and about Cyborg, and now it's Amanda. Who's going to be the next one? Who's going to be the next giant killer?
Yeah,
because someone's waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I would love to see a Cyborg and Nunes rematch, and I think they will at some point, because I think Cyborg will come back to this fight with a different mind game and plan. So I would like to see that again, because I think she fucked up on that first fight and didn't take her seriously.
And that might be true. She might have overlooked her, which terrible mistake, because Amanda's tough as nails.
Mm-hmm. And that's what happens when you think you're the baddest on the planet. You don't think the come up person is as good as you are, and sometimes they are.
Sometimes they are. But I mean, Amanda was a champ in her own right when that fight happened. So
yeah.
it's a insulting oversight to look over someone who's a champion in another division.
Right.
I'm sure Amanda felt the disrespect and took it out on her face.
Yep, that is apparent.
Anyway, we talked about it briefly at the beginning of the show that our 1-year anniversary show is coming up, and we've kind of discussed a few ideas back and forth, but I think for our 1-year anniversary, it's going to be some kind of Sportszilla exclusive contest. So everybody would have to go ahead and go join Sportszilla go ahead, get in there, start talking, communicate with us. We've got a bunch of polls and things of that nature floating around. I created the baseball park map, if you will, that I'm putting the Sportszilla goat head on for all the locations. So if you're a listener and you want to join Sportszilla and add a ballpark that we haven't added yet, please do. I would like to hit all of them up by the end of the season. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. A Sportszilla member has been to each ballpark in the country. That'd be really fun to have.
I mean, maybe we can do something like this for football as well, for the guys that are going to football games and stuff like that. And hell, one day maybe it would be badass if we could get Sportszilla t-shirts, like pictures of people wearing Sportszilla t-shirts at all the stadiums.
Mhm.
That'd be pretty sweet. Jared, let's get on this shit. But yeah, I want to do a Sportszilla exclusive contest type thing. So, and we'll have a lot of prizes and try to pick a lot of these guys to be winners, because Sportzilla's helped us out a lot to kind of to spread our wings and fly and get a new audience, and kind of a way to give back to that community. And, you know, now we're also part of the Wolfpack Raz and Breaks community. I'm excited about that. Luke from our Tap Sports Baseball Club is going to be helping us out with distributing stickers in his boxes at Bayou Sports Memorabilia. So anybody that buys a helmet or a jersey from him will get one of our stickers in their boxes. Same thing with Wolfpack Raz and Breaks. You buy or win a Raz or whatever, you're going to get one of our stickers in their boxes. And my buddy Donnie that lives there in Johnson City, he owns a vape store, Volunteer Vapors on Milligan Highway. If any of you guys want to go in there, he's going to be the only place in Johnson City to get a Nest Podcast sticker. So if you guys from Johnson City want one, go see Donnie. I'll put all that out in a post whenever I get the stickers to them. I've got them all right here. I've hand cut all these motherfuckers out. They came in sheets of 24, and I sat there and cut every single one of those bitches.
Nice.
It's 450 right there that I've cut out. That's ridiculous amount of stickers.
That's awesome.
But it's worth it. We're going to get a little distribution going on, and hopefully that means in turn more listeners.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the giveaway / contest episode. That'll be really fun to give some people some cool swag.
Yeah, like do you want to hint at any of the
well, you're definitely going to get one of those 450 stickers.
Well, that'll be, those are just going to be freebies thrown in there. That's not a reward or award. I think, I don't know. We'll do some stuff that maybe you can wear.
Yeah, I like that.
Wearable things.
Maybe something that would help you out if you're a cell phone user of the smartphone variety.
We do have some pretty handy cell phone accessories. If you catch my drift. And we also have, other than stickers, maybe some things that might stick around.
I'm excited. Yeah,
I am too. I think it's going to be good. I think a lot of people are going to get some cool stuff, and hopefully they like it. I know Sportszilla, Jared said that he would throw in some stuff too. Maybe a koozie. Maybe we'll get a Sportszilla t-shirt for a lucky winner or something like that. So cool stuff. Anyway, I'm out of shit to talk about, homie.
I am too.
All right. Next week we might or might not come to you on a Friday.
As always.
Yeah, it depends. I was gonna say tune in next week on Friday, but it might not be. I just happen to think Zach's going out of town and won't be back until next Thursday, but he's leaving again on Friday. So we've got to try to squeeze in a episode within like the 6 hours that he's home.
Right. Yep. But don't miss Brandon's little Chernobyl episode on Monday. That'll be fun. I look forward to listening to that episode.
Yeah. Monday we'll be back on here with Garth and Adam from the Bearded Ballesta, and we'll be talking about HBO's Chernobyl.
All right,
and
cool.
The actual event of Chernobyl as well.
Right. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yep. So tune in for that and see ya.